Happy Friday. Welcome to the Pitch Eye Chronicles, where fans become family. Hi, puppy. Even Eastman's going to get on the show this morning. Just as everybody else has been in the chat, we noticed that CT's been waiting here for an hour. So shout out to CT Cards and everybody else. D-Train, got a notification that you have subscribed. Welcome to the Chronicles family. And Mr. Barrows, let's go through the chat. Let's start it off on the right note with the roll call. We got Gregory Wayne in the building. We got Mr. Barrows, as I said. NFE, what's going on NFE? If you are not subscribed to the Strike Zone, go over and subscribe. We got FJ, Stephen B, Joan, Ken, and we got Jonathan, as always, my adopted child. And it's been an interesting week in Yankeeville as we.
Interesting. It's been a freaking disaster.
Yeah, I'm trying to not. You know what? It's a Friday. The warning's coming. What's going on, Medina? The weekend's here. I want to try to have just a little positivity to start the show, and then we're gonna go on to the negativity because there's plenty to be fucking negative about. And I just, you know what? Fuck that. Yeah, there is no upside. This team is an absolute dumpster fire. Absolute dumpster fire. We cannot get embarrassed in our own building by our little brother. And that's exactly what happened, which led to my cousin and my little brother texting me, asking me what the Yankee Met record is this year. Just to throw a little salt on the wound on me. And it's just, I can't. Donald, you were at that game. So give us your what was it like? What was the feeling like at the stadium?
Well, my feeling was there was far too many Met fans in the building, for one. The Met fans took over the building, for one. So that's kind of an embarrassment. Mm-hmm. Two, massively overpriced. And three, they didn't show up. The Yankees didn't show up. And I was standing above the Yankee dugout, and I looked in that Yankee dugout, man, and there was no real life in that dugout. There wasn't. There was people eating popcorn, for crying out loud, in the dugout. So, I mean, this idea that this team is locked and loaded and ready to go is bullshit. And I'm calling it out right now. It's bullshit. There isn't enough life, effort, and accountability in this organization. There is not. So when Aaron Boone gives me this fake tough guy act where he says words like, oh, shit, and give me a break. But then the funny thing is, he apologized about it later. He apologized about it 30 minutes later. He used the word shit in the postgame, and it was, I'm really sorry, I swore. Oh, sorry, mommy. Like, don't even try then. Just be who you are, which is soft. Mr. Bubbles. And I mean, I have officially, as of right now, as of today, I'm calling for Aaron Boone to be fired. It's official. No more messing around. I am demanding that he gets fired because there has to be a change. There has to be a change. No more of this shit because it's been going on since 2018. Every single year we have this same discussion. It feels like I'm going out of my mind. Every time I turn on the radio, it's the same discussion. Oh, the Yankees are on another massive losing streak. Oh, but it's not Boone's fault. It's the roster. Well, he has to be accountable for something. He's a manager. If you're employed to be a manager, you have to be accountable for something. Otherwise, you have a job for life.
I mean, you look at the game one freaking lineup. You're protecting Soto and Judge with J.D. Davis in the cleanup spot. Jahmai Jones is your leadoff hitter. I mean, that was the most embarrassing lineup. That, I mean, my granddaughter, at one could put a better lineup out. I mean, it's bullshit. How do you do that? How? You could have found that one other player. Look, I'm not saying we had the deepest roster, right? And we're gonna get on Cashman about that in a little while. But Boone, if you want to say I'm not a puppet, I'm the manager, then the lineups are 100% your fault.
Yes,
that's just the way it is.
yes.
You can. I mean, Boone's lineup completely took the bat out of Judge's hand.
Yes.
Rob, what do you think about it?
What more can we say that hasn't been said? It's bad. It's just bad baseball. Luckily, there is a trade deadline and 2 months to try to fix it. But right now, I don't have confidence that we have the right leadership in place. I said the other day that I don't blame Aaron Boone for everything, but you absolutely can pinpoint the blame for that lineup right on him. There is no world where Jahmai Jones, who had 39 at-bats, should have been leading off for the New York Yankees. There's no world where J.D. Davis, who just came back from this stomach bug and then sat on the bench, should be cleaning up and protecting Aaron Judge. Guess what the Mets did? They walked him until they didn't have to. And they got him to look at strike three. I mean, that's baseball. The guy didn't get to swing a bat all game, basically, and then he's got to be forced to swing the bat in the most important at-bat of the night. Why would you pitch to him? Why on earth would any manager in their right mind, you could pick anybody out of a hat and say, you're the manager for a day. Look at that lineup and see there's a guy that's about to have another historic season batting third. Behind him is a dude that got DFA'd by the Oakland Athletics. Who are you going to pitch to? You're going to pitch to Aaron Judge, who might go down as one of the best power hitters of all time? Or are you going to pitch to J.D. Davis, who got let go by 2 teams in a matter of like 5 months? It's pretty easy who you're going to pitch to. There's no reason that he should have been batting cleanup. But then again, your only other option was Rice, but they don't want to play him against lefties. So that's their own doing. And he's been struggling lately, I get that. You could have tried Torres in the leadoff spot. At least that would have been a little more respectable than Jahmai Jones, but then who do you back cleanup? Verdugo, he's been terrible. I don't know what they're going to do. I'm still pissed that they haven't given a shot to some of these younger guys in the system. I've been asking for Vivas for a while. I've even been asking for Peraza. We've all been asking for Peraza, and I would be more than happy with seeing Agustin Ramirez at this point. It can't be worse than what we are getting. DJ LeMahieu sucks. Gleyber Torres, couple of home runs in the series, but overall not great. They're sitting Cabrera even though he's hitting as of late. Why is J.D. Davis still here? Why is Jahmai Jones still here? Why are these guys hogging up roster spots? I mean, they could have used the injury to Stanton as an excuse for like a month-plus trial run for some of these kids in the system. At least you can learn. I keep saying this for now over a month. I'm a broken record. You can learn what you have, and it makes your deadline so much easier. Who's to say that Vivas couldn't have come up and hit like 250 with like a 7-something OPS? Kind of like what Rice has been doing. Rice's average is lower, but the OPS is fine. The power's there. The production's been there. If Vivas did something similar, guess what? Now you don't need to get 2 bats. Now you only need to get 1 bat, get a couple of bullpen arms, maybe even a starter, and you roll forward and you get healthy and try to go on a big stretch down the final 2 months. I almost knocked my microphone over. These are things that they keep doing, and they keep touting up. Oh, we got this farm system. We're doing so well with the scouting, and everything's been going well there, and they have been. It went from a middle of the pack system to a top 5 system. Use it. Just use it. That's all I'm asking. There's no reason we should be relying on J.D. Davis and Jahmai Jones here. So, calm down, Raziel. Let's just go ahead and let's just call it what it is. The Yankees are a flawed operation. And I don't want to keep wasting my breath and asking for change when I know change is not going to happen. They're more than content with who they have running the show, and that's the issue, because we have been asking for this for 4 years now on the show to change it up. Get rid of the manager, get rid of the GM, and start anew. And I don't even want to blame Cashman too much, because his plan B was technically Pereira. He got hurt. And his plan C was Dominguez coming back, and then he got hurt again. So it's hard to be like, you should have had a plan D. Like, That's Oscar Gonzalez, and they didn't even want to call him up yet. I don't know why. Give him a shot, but it's hard to pinpoint this on Cashman. It's everybody. The players have been shit. The management's been shit. The coaching's been shit. And the GM, what do you expect him to do? Right now is the time to go make a move because the trades are starting to flow. Now's the time to strike. But I'm not going to blame him for not making a move in like June when Stanton got hurt. They did technically, and it was a bad one in JD Davis. So it's all bad right now. Luckily, there is still a lot of time to fix it. Let's just see if they prove us wrong. Because right now, I have zero confidence that they're going to fix this anytime soon.
Oh, I can blame Cashman certainly for the infield construction and also the
that's
no-name bullpen is terrible, and having no one other than Clay Holmes in these high leverage closer spots is always going to be a disaster waiting to happen. So there was a lot of things to worry about, but I mean, in essence, there is enough talent in this building that they should be better than this. Yeah. There's enough talent in this building. You've got 3 megastars playing at the top of their game. Soto, Judge, and Garrett Cole. Now, Garrett Cole sucked against the Mets, right? But in general, he's been pretty good since being called up again after the injury. But he also won the Cy Young last year, so he's still a megastar in my view, right? You've got 3 megastars. That's more than most teams have, right? That's more than most teams have. We've got 2 of the best hitters in the game. We've got Juan Soto, who is the best all-around hitter in the game. We've got Aaron Judge, who's the best power hitter in the game. You have that. Not many teams have that, right? And that's why I'm calling out Aaron Boone, because I'm sorry, even though I hear from Michael Kay, who falls over himself to defend Aaron Boone because he's his friend, right? But the excuse that he uses for is like, oh, well, it's he's got a 600 winning percentage, right? Well, what about the playoffs, right? He's got a really bad record in the playoffs. And also, look at these terrible runs that we go in every single second half of the year. That has nothing to do with the manager. Nothing. Come on, right? And then all we ever hear from him is, oh, but it's the roster. It's the roster. It's the roster. But you want to praise him when the Yankees win, right? But when the Yankees lose, it's not his fault. Well, that's the narrative that you're spinning, Michael. That's the problem with people that are defending Aaron Boone. If you want to praise him when we're winning, but you can't criticize him when we're losing, then you've failed at the first hurdle. That's what the problem is here. I mean, and then a lot of things that I just completely disagree with. But I think it starts with how Aaron Boone falls over himself to defend things that are indefensible, right? That's why I'm furious about it, really. It's indefensible. He said, right, now, and this press conference really said a lot, right? But what I realized in that press conference was the fake tough guy act needs to stop, right? Stop it. Stop trying to slam the table and use words like we're turning the corner and all that shit. That needs to stop. But then you also said how proud you were of the guys down 12-3, how locked in they were in the dugout, down 12-3. You said that. He said it. Oh, really, really pleased with how locked in we were in the 8th and 9th inning against the Mets. We were down 12-3. Like, what are we doing here? I mean, what do you expect them to do? That's the least I expect them to do. To look interested in the dugout? That's what you're praising them for? Why would you take your time to praise that? Look at this disaster that you're building right now. You've got guys that don't give a fuck. And I can see it because I was there. There are guys that don't give a fuck, and I can see it in the dugout. So stop praising things that can't be praised. Oh, really pleased to compete. Really pleased to get. You lost 12-3. You got swept by the Mets by a combined score of like 37-13. And another thing about Aaron Boone is he just doesn't get the best out of his guys. He just doesn't. Look at the team that we have in Queens. The Mets do not have as much talent as the Yankees do. Not enough, not nearly as much, right? But they do have depth, and they do have a well constituted lineup. I quite like their lineup. Their pitching isn't there though. But guess what? They have a manager that gets the best out of them. And that was our bench coach, by the way. Aaron Boone got outmanaged by his bench coach. You know what the Mets did? They didn't pitch to Aaron Judge the entire fucking series. They didn't pitch to him. All 4 games, they didn't pitch to him. They walked him.
Mm-hmm.
That's fucking smart, right? What did Aaron Boone do? He's pitching to Rafael Devers against Boston and gets his ass blown out, right? That's the truth. That's the truth.
Pitch to Lindor, and Lindor kicks Cole's ass every time.
Pitch to Lindor, and he kicks his fucking ass. Right. So he's getting outmanaged. Aaron Boone gets outmanaged. And finally, to Uncle Tat's point, when Uncle Tats rightly brought up that lineup, we lost game 1 of the home series there against the Mets with that lineup. It takes talent to put together a lineup, right, where you take the bat out of your only 2 hitters, Juan Soto and Aaron Judge, right? Who is batting ahead of Juan Soto? Jahmai Jones! Are we serious? And then, who did we have to protect Aaron Judge? J.D. Davis! You've taken the bat out of both of your guys' hands with that.
Yeah, it's
right. You took the bat out of both of those guys because now you don't need to pitch to Juan Soto and now you don't need to pitch to Aaron Judge. And that's exactly what they did. And we lost because of you, Aaron. You came up with that lineup. And that's all I'll say about Aaron Boone. I really feel that it's time for a change, but we should definitely get into this lineup and this roster because that's all on Brian Cashman. I'm not absolving him of anything, but what I will say is there is enough talent in this building to be better than this. You can't be doing this. And it's been going on for years. It's been going on since like 2020. These massive losing streaks and no accountability and hearing the same conversation year after year. Oh, but it's not Aaron's fault. He can't do anything with the roster. Well, you have to be accountable for something or else you've got a fucking job for life, right? And for some reason, other teams seem to be pleased with their managers. Other teams are extending their managers. Boston just extended Alex Cora, who's a fucking brilliant manager, right? So you cannot tell me that managers don't make a difference.
No, the managers completely make a difference. It really does. And I want to also shout out a couple of people that joined in. John the Beagle Dad, what's going on? Damian Serrano, good morning to you. Jason from 161 River Ave, good morning, good morning. No, look, I know that we don't want to say it's not Boone's fault. You know, Cashman's got to take as much of the blame as Boone, right? But somebody's got to be held accountable. Somebody's job has to go. And if something is not done seriously at this deadline, then Hal has to do something. Hal can't just sit idle and be like, "Well, I trust this. I trust these guys with my team," because it's not going to take long for fans to stop going to the games. We saw it at the end of the season last year. How empty the seats were. You could sit anywhere you wanted. Security didn't even stop you from sitting in the 100 section after a certain point. Because they just wanted to have people sitting in the seats. That's what it's going to come to.
I want to ask Rob to point out Ken's message here. What do you think about Ken's message?
The obvious choice would be Ausmus, but he's kind of like I don't know, he's like a little more angry version of Boone. I understand what Ken's saying because it's hard to say that somebody is going to come in here and everything's going to be fixed like that. But there is a counter argument to that because just a couple of years ago, the Phillies fired Joe Girardi and Rob Thompson took over, and that team that had a ton of talent, a lot of players that Yankee fans wanted on the Yankees. They had the manager that Yankee fans wanted to be the Yankee manager still. They let that guy go, and all of a sudden, that team turned it around and almost won the World Series. They didn't win that year, but I think they got to the World Series. Or I don't remember exactly. But the point is, sometimes a change is necessary to wake a team up. You want to look at football. The Raiders fired their coach, and they brought in Antonio Pierce. They gave him the job, and that team played their asses off for Antonio Pierce. And I'm only saying that because I got this NY on my hat, and I love that dude, and I'm so happy for him. But he beat the shit out of the Giants in his first game as a head coach. So that team fought for him. It's done in other sports. It can be done. I'm not saying it's going to happen for us, but I also don't think they're going to fire him. But that's if they do let Boone go, it would send a message that they're serious. That they're serious about this thing because they don't do that. We were surprised last year when they fired the hitting coach last year. So, I mean, if they fired Boone mid-season, that would be sending a message like, oh shit, they're mad. But would the players get that same message? I don't know if there's a way to fix Gleyber Torres after all this time. I don't know if there's a way to fix Jahmai Jones being your leadoff hitter. Like, you have to get the right pieces in place. You have to see what this deadline brings, but do you give Boone another month? Like, let's say they do bring in Jonathan India and Rengifo. Let's say they get two infielders and the team still doesn't hit. Then what happens? Do you still blame Boone? Maybe. Like, what do you do? But I'm like on the fence about it because I do want to change at manager. I've wanted to change at manager, but I also understand the argument that it doesn't always. No, they don't need anyone from Brooklyn. It doesn't always mean that somebody that the replacement's gonna get the best out of the team. I want to say that a change is gonna make this team better, but I guess you'll never know until you try. That's the old saying. So maybe they should give it a shot. At this point, if they fired Boone, I'd be shocked, but I'd be very, very, very happy about it because I think it's time. I do think it's time, but I understand both sides of the argument there.
What I will say is when he mentions here, do you think a new manager can get this dumpster fire of a lineup to work and hit? Aaron Boone was the one who made the decision to have Jahmai Jones lead off ahead of Juan Soto, and then you have JD Davis protecting Aaron Judge. That was an Aaron Boone call. As far as we're aware, that's an Aaron Boone call, right? And as we just pointed out on this podcast, it took the bat out of your best hitter's hands, both of them. That's an Aaron Boone responsibility. So yes, I really do believe another manager could come in and do better. Now, this thing is a mess, and we do need to get into this roster because this roster is a flaming dumpster fire. But he is still blessed with the two best hitters in the game. You cannot find anything to make this thing work. Look at what Mendoza did with the Mets. He moved Lindor to leadoff, and Lindor is now on another planet. Right? That's a manager who's made the most of the talent that he has at his disposal, and he's figured out a way to unlock him because Lindor was a bit of a joke at the start of the year. In fact, most of his time in the Mets, he's moved him to leadoff, and now he's all world. Phenomenal, right? He's unlocked it. What has Aaron Boone unlocked other than Angry Donald? What has he unlocked? I don't know what has he done to improve this team? He hasn't. He's a mediocre manager, and the team plays mediocre because of him.
Yeah, and another point, and Rob talked about it earlier with some of the moves that he has made and how the backup plans have not worked. And this is where, like, I know we want to come on here, we're all pissed off, and we just want to tear everybody apart. Rightfully so. I mean, they deserve it. But when your backup plans fail, does that mean that you didn't have a backup plan? We had, we were hoping to have Torres on a contract year, go off and have a career year, and then see you later. They're also relying, we also didn't, well, we anticipated Stanton getting hurt. It happens every year. But you lost him out of the lineup. That's neither Boone nor Cashman's fault. That's just Stanton's body. It breaks every year. He did Cashman. Cashman also, because of LeMahieu's health, did make the move for Birdie, who was playing really well. Now he wasn't going to save the team with his bat, but we talk. I've been talking lately about securing the infield defense. Birdie was a solid infielder. You're hoping to get him back, and so when the backup plans fail, does that mean there was no backup plan? It's not like they're not putting the effort in.
Well, I don't want to say they're failing because the backup plans all got hurt.
Well, yeah. Well, they're not playing, so
yeah. No, I get what you're saying, though. It's tough to blame that on the GM. It is, because when Stanton went down, first choice would obviously be Pereira or Dominguez. They're both on the shelf. Caleb Durbin would have been an option. He was hurt. He just yesterday, he got activated off the IL. So he's finally back. So all of your contingency plans and your backup plans all got hurt, which says something more about the organization, because we keep dealing with this every single year. I mean, Garrett Cole before the season said we got to be better in that, and he got hurt. So this keeps happening. Everybody's getting injured, and even the backups to the backups are getting injured. So it's like DJ gets hurt, you bring in Birdie, he got hurt. And this is like a never-ending cycle of players getting sent to the IL, and even J.D. Davis was on the IL for, I still can't believe it, for 10 days for a stomach ache. So it's like no matter who we bring in, this team they get hurt no matter what. The question that we have at the title is, how important is this trade deadline for Cashman? And it might be his most important trade deadline ever, because, again, we said this every show, you have Soto for 1 year, guaranteed. Now, I do think he's going to be back, but for now, it's 1 year guaranteed. They have to get at least 2 bats. They have to get at least 1 bullpen arm, I would say 2. You're looking at 3 or 4 trades, again, that have to seriously turn this team around. Can it be done? We have the pieces, but will it be done? Will they pay the price for some players like a Paredes? That would be my top choice. But will they go and pivot to Jonathan India and Sam Moll, which I think would be a fantastic get for this team, because you get a good lefty reliever and you get a big bat infielder that would significantly improve this roster, but there are still other holes. So you have to make at least 3 trades. Let's talk about the trade deadline before we get into the awards, because it's very important.
Yep. I mean, I already said I would like to get, I think Tanner Scott's going to be the guy. I would actually pivot to Washington and kick the tires, see if they're interested in moving Finnegan. I think he'd be a good addition to the bullpen, and I'm staying until everything is done. I know they already moved the Rosarena, but I'm not getting off the Paredes train. That's the guy I want. They got to do something, because that solves so many of that. One move can solve, with Paredes, solve your infield.
Let's just say he's not available. But by the way, I'm so freaking happy Rosarena is no longer in Tampa Bay. But
I feel bad for Tampa fans, man. That's a fucking terrible trade. Jesus.
It's about to get worse for them, because they're actually still very much alive, but they're going to start trading pieces, as they usually do. But let's say they go to Cincinnati and try to get Jonathan India and a Sam Moll. And they could still go get another bullpen arm if they wanted, but they probably need 2 infielders. So if anyone follows Bobby Malone on Twitter, he puts a bunch of trade suggestions out there, and he had like 2 or 3 different trades. One was India and Moll. The other was Rengifo and Estevez from the Angels. You're getting 2 infielders and 2 relief pitchers. That solves a lot of our issues, because as good as some of these under the radar moves have gone, guys like Tonkin and Cousins and Tim Hill, you can't rely on them for the final 2 months and be like, those guys are going to get us to the ninth inning till Clay Holmes may or may not blow it. They have to get a couple of sure arms in this bullpen. Sam Moll would definitely fit that. Tanner Scott would fit that. Estevez would fit that. Two of those guys can actually close for you, Estevez and Tanner Scott. So they have to get a closer. And there's a couple of guys out there that can close. So how important, on a scale of 1 to 10, how important, Donald, is this deadline to you for Brian Cashman?
It's a 10 because you've only got Soto guaranteed for another 2 months. That's it. So while you're lucky enough, blessed enough to have him, you have to put a team around him. But the worry here for me is a lot of these moves needed to have been done in the off season because now we're desperate. Now we're shopping desperate. And that's the worst possible position to be in when you're shopping desperate. Because also, with the extended wild card, there's a ton of teams that are still competing. Tampa are still competing, but for some reason are actually are willing to trade away all their pieces. They just lit the Yankees on fire for most of this season. So I can't believe that they're willing to give away all their players. But what I'm saying is there's a ton of teams that are still competing. So there's not going to be so the teams that are still very much looking for talent are all going to be fishing in the same waters as the Yankees. And that means that the price is going to be higher and higher and higher. And the Yankees are going to have to willingly give up a lot of their talent, which they probably wouldn't have had to give up earlier if they actually did the building that they needed to do in the offseason. Another thing is that the Yankees need a cleanup hitter, and they also need a leadoff hitter. That's absolutely vital. As we just saw Aaron Boone come up with that terrible idea, but the reason was because they desperately need someone that can hit left-handed pitching. They don't have enough of that. The Yankees get schooled against lefties, and also the Yankees have collectively the worst stat line. Slash line from a leadoff hitter and a cleanup hitter in 30 years in all of baseball. In 30 years. Not just Yankees, all of baseball in 30 years. I believe at the top of my head, I don't have the exact numbers on it, but I believe it's something in the range of like 215 batting average and a 274 OBP. It's never been done before in 30 years in all of baseball to have that ineffectiveness at your leadoff and cleanup. That's no one else's fault other than Brian Cashman. Because he went into this season thinking that DJ LeMahieu was going to be your leadoff hitter. That is a fucking disaster. Right? So that's his fault. Right? And he didn't have a cleanup hitter. Who's going to back cleanup? And he didn't have it.
Just real quick, before just to throw a number into your point. They mentioned this before the series started, and the cleanup spot for the Yankees has a 528 OPS.
Oh my God!
That's just from the cleanup spot.
My God, we need Stanton back. That's what I think they're going to do.
Down. Yeah,
we need a leadoff hitter and maybe a number 5 guy because Stanton's going to be back in cleanup when he comes back, and they're going to eventually get Dominguez, who's could be a middle of the bat order. So if they got Paredes,
he goes to lead off though.
That is true. But what if they got Rengifo, who's like a perfect leadoff choice? If they got him and Paredes or him and India, that solves a big issue in the lineup because you get the leadoff guy, you get the middle of the bat type of bat to put behind Stanton. Who's you guys hated Stanton?
Not us. I think I'm hoping he's saying the fans.
Oh,
we've been parading fucking Stanton since the beginning.
Oh, no, John. No, we do not hate Giancarlo Stanton here. We are frustrated that he gets hurt every year, but I do not hate that guy. No. I love Giancarlo Stanton. Anyway, You're going to get him back. Dominguez is on the comeback trail, thankfully. They still need to get infield bats because I don't want to see Gleyber Torres here anymore. I don't want to see DJ LeMahieu at all anywhere near this team, but we know that's not happening. And to be quite honest, if they were to find a way to move Verdugo as well, I would more than welcome it. But right now, they really don't have an outfielder until Dominguez is healthy. Yeah. So probably not going to happen unless they put Trent Grisham out there every day, and that's asking for trouble. So you got to get 2 bats. You got to get a couple of arms. You're looking at 2 or 3 trades, maybe 2 big trades that are going to get the job done. But they have to act quickly. Deadline's 4 days away now. They got to go. They got to move because it's getting bad. And it's actually getting worse every day. They can't rely on the injured players coming back to fix everything.
I didn't want to hear about Chad Green coming back. That was one name that the Yankees have floated.
Yeah, Tyone was another name that was floated for a comeback.
I mean, Tyone, I could understand because the Yankees actually unlocked him. They actually got something out of him.
Yeah.
So maybe if he's a cheap option to come back, it might actually be something to consider. But it has to be cheap. I don't want Chad Green. I like Chad Green, but come on, you got to be more creative than that. And that's what was concerning me, that BrianCashman just is not creative with his bullpen. You got to have better names than this, man. With this no-name bullpen has blown up in his face. And the big concern with this no-name bullpen was that towards the business end of the year, in high leverage spots, they're going to start to falter, and that's what's happened. We've generally done all right. We've gotten enough lightning out of in a bottle from these guys, but you gotta get some better names in here.
Yeah, Rich Hill, he's gonna save it.
But I want to ask Rob and Tats. I want to ask Jonathan India. The Yankees are heavily interested in, right? Mm-hmm. If you had the choice of Jonathan India or Paredes, who do you go with and why? Let's start with Rob.
Well, my choice would be Paredes because I've seen him do it several times to us in our division. But apparently there's some question marks about him moving forward because he's such a pull-happy hitter. Can they get away from that? And they feel like his progression could be hurt in the future years. We'd have him for like 3 more years after this. However, he's only 25. So you can absolutely try to fix that and still get a very good player. Jonathan India is under contract, I think, for 1 more year. So you would have him, and it would more than likely not cost you as much to get him. But I would choose Paredes because I just think he's younger, and I think he might have a little bit more upside hitting behind Judge and Stanton. But if they got Jonathan India, I ain't going to complain. I'll put it that way. I like both options, but I prefer Paredes.
Yeah, I think both guys are a win for the Yankees. I'm sticking to it. I'm staying with Paredes, and I think when his fielding is what really draws me in because he plays first, second, and third, so he can solve multiple areas, and you could give guys rest days without really hurting your defense. So I think he allows us that flexibility to kind of be the next LeMahieu. Not so much a utility player, but an everyday player that can go and carry multiple gloves. And I think he's good on the bases. I'm going to stick with Paredes. I just think he's the best, and we have more control with him. It just solves a problem not for this year, but for the couple years after.
Yeah, I'm very much on your boat. I actually would, of the choice, I'm going to go Paredes. Now, India, you might argue, might be the better player. Well, certainly this year he is, but I'm looking at the fact that what's a bigger priority, right? Contact hitting's nice and all that stuff, right? But we actually need some power now. And the most important thing for me is to protect Aaron Judge. Protect him. Because no one's pitching to him right now. The Mets literally just did not pitch to him, and that was the smartest thing anyone could ever do. He just refused to pitch to him because they were like, I'm not going to get beat off Aaron Judge, but I will absolutely mow down the rest of this lineup after him. And that's exactly what they did. That's why I think Paredes is most important. He's going to give you power. He's capable of giving you like 25 home run power, maybe even 30 with that short porch. Yeah, he's a pool hitter, but I think that was because Tampa asked him to be a pool hitter. I think he's a good enough hitter in which he can hit to all fields, and he can field numerous positions. He's at a good age, and he's tried and tested, and he's an all-star. I think he's the one to go with, because at the moment we need more power. We need someone that pitchers are gonna fear, right? And we just don't have enough of it, man. We can make do with something at leadoff, right? Some kind of combo, right? You can live with. Hopefully Dominguez, that would be ideal. But in the meantime, you can make do with leadoff. But most important, I think we need a bit more power in there. And I don't want to hear that the Yankees are thinking twice on Jazz Chisholm. This is a general manager who brought in Josh Donaldson and extended Aaron Hicks and literally kept a wife beater in Dominguez for about 8 years, right? And then and Chapman,
Dominguez.
huh?
Yeah, I
Called
think you're about to say Domingo.
Oh, her man, sorry.
Yeah, attached moment.
You had her man was wife beater for like 8 years, and then you had fucking Chapman for about fucking 5 years. I mean, you can't tell me about the personality in a locker room. Just Chisholm ain't any of that. Yeah, he's a bit of a fun, quirky dude, right?
So what?
But I mean, he's really talented. He's young. He's athletic. He could steal 25 bases, and he can give you 25 home runs. And he's looking really good lately for the Marlins. So I think he's someone that we should be considering and paying a premium for. I think he'd be awesome. As CT Card says, Jazz has been awesome lately. Yeah, and certainly apologize to Dominguez. I mixed that up. It's Domingo Herman, not Dominguez. Domingo Herman. So, I mean, that's it. So it's a stupid narrative. Oh, the Yankees are worried about Jazz Chisholm in the locker room. Your locker room are absolutely not interested right now, right? They just aren't. They're eating popcorn and chilling and having a laugh and joshing up in the dugout. Why? Because I was there. I saw it.
I mean, I don't see the big. I didn't get as worked up about the popcorn. You need a snack. You snack. You know, would it be different if what if it was sunflower seeds? Would we be making a big deal out of it, or if they were chewing bubble gum? You know, it's. I mean, it's not like they were sitting there with soda and
Not when they're getting blown out. I don't want to see.
But the point is that Aaron Boone decided to make it a point to say, I really was happy with the way they were egging or cheering each other on. You're down by 10 runs, basically. Shut up. Enough of that. But I don't care that you're eating popcorn. Yeah, you need a snack and all that. But the fact that you see that, you're getting your asses kicked.
Okay.
And then there's the manager after the game saying, I liked it. I liked the fight. It's a bad look. Had he not said anything, no one would have gave a shit about the popcorn, because you do need a little, especially during a baseball game, you need a little something. You saw Garrett Cole scarfing down a banana. We're like, haha, that's great. So, but it's the fact that after the game, Boone's like, down 12-3, but you clapped. It's like, shut up. Just stop with the nonsense.
What other names have we heard have been bandied about?
A lot of them.
I mean,
the
there really is a lot that's been, you know. And one thing with Jazz Chisholm, it's I don't care if he sits in the corner of the locker room, you know, and doesn't say a freaking word to anybody. As long as he's a team player on the field and he's, you know, making his improvement in the lineup, I don't care. Okay. I'm so tired of this. Oh, he's a clubhouse cat. Really, Verdugo. We heard the same thing about him. You know, and these stupid
Stroman.
People. I almost put this in the awards, but that's another story. Just before we get to the awards, and there was a caller on Keith McPherson's show yesterday And God bless Keith. He cut the guy off before he could even finish his point. There are fans now calling to trade Judge because he doesn't get it done in the big spot. You finally got to swing the bat in the ninth inning, and you can't come through. Maybe they should see what value he has. Are you guys fucking kidding me? Are these fans that fucking broken?
Let's not even entertain that stupidity. No. Let's not. Because anyone who suggests trading Aaron Judge or Juan Soto or Garrett Cole or going through a retool despite being 16 games over 500, now I don't care how bad. I know it's obviously I care, but it's been bad. But there is still the silver lining. We're still very much. We still have a playoff spot. We're 16 games over. We have the third best record in the American League. They're not selling, you idiots. They're not selling anybody. They're going to be buying. In fact, they could do a little bit of both. They could get some pieces, and they can trade some guys like Verdugo and Torres away. That's the extent of their selling they're going to be doing. Aaron Judge ain't going anywhere. That's the captain. That's the best player in baseball. Any moron that suggests trading for him or trading him, stop watching the sport. Stop watching the team. Go watch the Mets. Go watch somebody else and be a fan of them because, no, we're not entertaining that crap.
No, we're not.
Trade Aaron Judge.
But would we entertain trading Spencer Jones? That's the most important thing to worry about at this point because there's a lot of teams that'll be like, okay, well, you can have Jazz Chisholm, you can have blah, 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 but we're going to need Spencer Jones. Who do you make Spencer Jones available for? And would you? And what are your thoughts on the fact that Spencer Jones has like a 38% strikeout rate right now in the minors? Are you concerned about that? Let's start with Rob.
I've been saying I would trade him since the offseason, and it has nothing to do with how I feel about the player. I just don't know if they're going to fix that strikeout rate in time for him to be what everyone thinks he's going to be. Everyone expecting him to be the Soto replacement. He's already set up for failure. I would have traded him for Dylan Cease. I would have traded him for Corbin Burns. I would trade him for Paredes if that's what it took. I really would. I would trade him for Vlad.
Morning, Jigga.
I don't know who else is available that I wouldn't trade him for Jonathan India or Rengifo, obviously, but I would trade him for Vlad Jr. and I would trade him for Paredes. And I said that a week and a half ago with Tats on the show. I would trade him for Paredes. But there's only a couple of guys that are available, that could be available and are available right now. And I don't even know if the Rays are going to trade Paredes, and I don't know if the Blue Jays are going to trade Vlad. But if they were available, I would do it. I would trade Spencer Jones for a bat like Vladimir Guerrero Jr. today, and I would not think twice about it.
Yeah, it's what's going on, Jigga? I see you sneaking in on us. Look, if I'm moving, I have no problems moving Jones. All right, but I'm going to stick with what I've been saying. If I'm going to move him, I want an everyday player. I don't want to move him for an arm.
Agreed.
All right. I want if I'm going to trade somebody of that caliber, because we know as he develops, that strikeout rate's going to, it's going to fluctuate. Right.
It should improve.
Yeah. But I want a guy that's going to be a everyday impact. I don't want a starter that's going to play every 5 days or a bullpen guy that they play one good year and then they're crap for two and then they're good again. I want stability in the trade. And that would be like a Paredes. There might be somebody else that comes into play that I don't know. I mean, depending on the package for India, maybe if we're getting some bullpen pieces with him, that could change the outlook of the value. But I want an everyday player, and I know
you're spot on, man. I don't want
name in there.
Pitchers' arms are too temperamental for me to be willing to trade our top asset for a pitcher. Now, Scooball is excellent. Don't get me wrong. I probably would have given him up for Dylan Cease. after
Well,
that.
actually, congrats to Dylan Cease for his no-no yesterday.
That is no. Yeah. So
Number 4 starter.
right, but no, I don't make him available for a starter because starters' arms are too unpredictable. You don't know it can all just end up in Tommy John surgery with one throw. So I want an everyday player for that, but it needs to be a top level. So maybe a Vlad Guerrero, yeah, for sure, you would do it. But I'd prefer to hold on to Spencer for at least another year because I want to get him right. Because right now he's not been great. He's been okay, but his numbers aren't great in the minors. It's still he's not even gotten 800 OPS. He strikes out far too much, and his batting average is a little mediocre. That stuff needs to be trending up, and it will trend up. I think he'll get better next year, but he's not ready to play in the majors right now. So he's another year away probably now. So it looks like he needs some more development, and I'd like to work with him a little bit more. Um, but also the Yankees have Juan Soto for 2 months, so you gotta build around him. So if it means giving up Spencer Jones for an asset that can make this team a World Series contender, then you got to do it. But I'm starting to look at this roster and I'm thinking we're not one move away. We're like 4, 5, 6 moves away. So we have to be smart about that too. I don't want to give up Spencer Jones just yet.
Thing is, they have so much ammo in the system to get. Let's just say it was Jones and like another 2 players for Vlad. They could still go get Rengifo and Estevez, and you can maybe even still get a left-handed bullpen arm, like even an Andrew Chafin from the Tigers. That wouldn't cost you too much. Although you look at that trade for AJ Puck yesterday, the market for relief pitching is going to be pretty hefty. That was 2 top 30 prospects for a decent relief pitcher. I know somebody's pissed off about that trade, but I'm not going to lose sleep over AJ Puck going away. But the relief pitching market's going to be high, so that's the Yankees' best interest is to make a big trade with a team that can give you a big bat and a relief arm. The Rays have that, the Reds have that, the Angels have that. So
that's a good point, Jason.
I would look for that, but if you have to give up a Spencer Jones, let's just say it's for Vlad Jr., you can't think twice about that.
No.
Vlad Jr. is an 850 OPS player. He's hitting out of his mind. You put that behind Aaron Judge, good fucking luck. It's not going to be easy for opposing pitchers, but that's just wishful thinking. I highly doubt they're going to trade him, and if they do trade him in division, it's going to cost you a lot more than just Spencer Jones. So you got to think about that. But again, it's an all or nothing season. You put Vlad Jr. in this lineup next year with Soto back, and it's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. And you don't have to worry about who's hitting behind these guys because those 3, along with the returning Dominguez and Stanton, that lineup is filthy. And you got Volpe at the bottom of the order that's actually hitting better down there. You've got yourself a lineup for a very, very long time, a good lineup, at least for another 2 years with Vlad under contract. So these are tough. I said this the other day. It's going to be tough.
I agree with Jason.
Tough pills to swallow.
That they can get Spencer Jones' K rate way down and get him back to normal. Because I saw him in spring training and he had really good plate discipline. He had really good coverage of the strike zone, and he wasn't missing pitches in spring. I think this is just a young guy who's still working on certain things.
Little hiccup.
Yeah, so I want to keep a hold of him if at all possible, because I do believe that he has a big future ahead. Plus, he's playing very good center field, excellent center field. So I would try and look at other ways in which to build around and try and keep a hold of Spencer Jones, if at all possible. But I'm not. For once, I will say that I will make him available in the right deal, but it has to be the absolute right deal. Another thing I was thinking about, this whole leadoff discussion, right? Like Jonathan India. The Yankees don't have a great history bringing in just pure contact guys. Not lately. I'm thinking about Benintendi, for instance. He did not hit. And he's a contact guy who was hitting like well over 300. He went to the Yankees, didn't hit. So I'm worried that if we brought in, like, say, a Jonathan India, who has no power but is a phenomenal contact hitter, is he going to hit? DJ LeMahieu hasn't hit in 3 years. The Yankees haven't. Gleyber Torres hasn't hit in two. Well, he hit last year, but 3 out of his 4 years he hasn't hit for contact, and he was meant to be a contact guy. So I'm wondering whether the Yankees are the right organization for pure contact hitters, because you look at our numbers and no one hits for average apart from Juan Soto and Aaron Judge. So, I'm worried about that. Do you think that's just an anomaly, or do you think that's something about the way that the Yankees as an organization have their guys hit? Because it's true that you look at it, these contact hitters that we brought in, he's a hits for contact. You don't see it with the Yankees.
Well, I mean, you had it with LeMahieu when he first came. We had it with Verdugo in the beginning of the year. Where we bring in these guys that make contact.
Not anymore. Verdugo hasn't hit in 3 months.
Roughly.
Yeah. Maybe LeMahieu might be a better example because his derailment's more from the injuries than his age. They have.
Rajiel's right, though. All these contact hitters go back to the original self the second they leave. And that's why I brought out Benintendi. I was so happy we acquired Benintendi, but he didn't hit. But he's back to hitting now.
No, he's not.
No?
No, he's terrible. No. The Yankees dodged a major bullet not bringing him back. Dude's hitting like 180.
Yeah, he's having a very rough year.
Yeah, he's been terrible since signing that contract.
But before we get, because we're going to get to the awards in a minute, I just want to make one last point on the trade deadline, and that is I don't want history to repeat itself where we pass up on somebody to save our prospects. I don't want another, we can't trade Andujar and, for Cole when he was with Pittsburgh. We can't go get Verlander, because, we have this guy coming, we have all these guys in the pipeline. And then it always comes back and bites us in the ass. That's why I'm not as he's untouchable mentality with Jones. Even with his numbers the way they are, teams are still begging for him. So the Yankees can, not that they should, but they can use that to their advantage in negotiations. Maybe you save an extra prospect because Jones is in there. And you're able to do, like Rob said, make the big splash and then add a couple of smaller additions that are not on the radar. So, but believe me, we have 5 days to the deadline, I think, at this point. 5, yeah. So we're going to have plenty of time to keep. It's coming fast. It is.
Is it the 30th this year or the 31st? Because they keep changing it. Last year it was August 1st, and I think this year it's the 30th.
Well, I think it's got to be midnight the 31st, isn't it?
Is it midnight now? Okay, so it's not the 4 p.m. They're so stupid. You just pick a day and stick with the day.
I don't even fucking know anymore.
It is the 30th, yeah.
One, I think the trade deadline right now is too early with the way they expanded the playoffs. They should have also pushed back the deadline because too many teams feel they're in it that are not even going to be close as it narrows in.
I would not entertain bringing IKF back.
No.
I mean, at the end of the day, the Yankees never got the best out of him. They moved him to shortstop when he was a great third baseman. The Yankees like to reinvent the wheel. I'm not interested in that, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I don't want to keep bringing these guys back because I don't think it's so.
But that was the better example.
Yeah,
that Rajiel brought up there instead of Benintendi. IKF is a better example. He's been excellent since leaving the Yankees. We just don't do great with contact hitters. We not in a while. Not in a while. That's why I think I'd prefer a power guy.
Well, IKF's hurt, so it's a perfect time to bring him back.
No,
Yep.
that's true.
Yeah, him and Rich Hill, bring those two in and problem solved.
But he lit the Yankees up in that last series.
Yeah, he had like, what do you have, like, was it like 7 hits or something like that? He kicked our ass.
Yeah, he
Of course
did.
he did.
All right, let's get into the awards.
Wow. Well, this should be interesting. We'll try and run through the positive awards quickly so we can actually get into the real
The fun stuff.
Yeah. Let's start with the MVP. There's not too many, but I would say probably Soto. I would say was the MVP. He was the one guy that was hitting, and I felt really bad for him that this team of nonsense around him can't do anything with him. I mean, that's what terrifies me about this organization. I've got Aaron Judge and Juan Soto both playing unbelievable baseball with an OPS well in the thousands. They're both having MVP years, and this is the slop. We've still lost 22 or 32 games. That's frightening. That is frightening. But MVP is Juan Soto. Rob.
I was going to say, I wanted to give Glaber a shot at, but he had that error again. So it takes him out of the conversation. His bat was great, but then he went ahead and did Glaber things. So I'm going to give it to Soto because there's really no other option. They scored a grand total of 5 runs, and you could say Judge, but he didn't get a chance to fucking swing the bat, and that's not his fault.
No.
It's Juan Soto by default, I guess, because you got 2 choices.
And I don't really care that. Well, I do care that he didn't come through in the 9th inning, but I mean, you're asking Aaron Judge to be batting 1,000 in big spots because teams aren't pitching to him. So you might only get to see one pitch a game now, and you have to be 1,000% with that one pitch. So that's hard to do.
That's not
unless you're Superman. That's hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
Uncle Taz.
Yeah, it's Soto. You know, it could be Judge, but like we said, you know, they did when they take the bat out of his hands. You know, Torres still had an issue with his defense, so that you know, it had to be Soto.
The low key, I would probably go Wells. Yeah, I think Wells. I think Wells was probably the low key. He was on base a lot. He was pretty good. Well, he only played the one game out of the 2.
Mm-hmm.
He pinch hit in the first game and he drew a walk. I think
he was on base a lot. There was, but I'm really, I think his at bats were pretty good, and it was really dumb that Aaron Boone decided to play Narvaez. But that's Aaron Boone for you. But I thought Wells was probably the low key for me. I thought he played pretty well. Rob.
Yeah, Austin Wells has been really good lately. They need to play him as many days as possible. Play him as much as you possibly can because we need his bat right now. He's the cleanup hitter, and I didn't think we'd be saying that a month ago, but here we are. Austin Wells, low key.
Yeah, like we said, you know, in a 2-game series where there's no offense. You know, there's no, you know, we got our fucking asses kicked, so there's no pitcher that stood out. So, yeah, I mean, it could be, you know, I thought of Volpe because he had, you know, pretty good. He got on base a lot. Torres, despite the error, he might not be the MVP, but was he the low key? But I also went with Wells. His work behind the plate, even after sitting, and I had no issue with them putting the Baez in. You know, Wells does need a day off, not once in a while.
Yeah, but you couldn't find him maybe a DH spot instead of.
Well, yeah, saying him not behind the plate, I didn't think was the end of the world. Plus, I did want to see what Narvaez would do with the staff.
I didn't have an issue with it, but I did have an issue with at the same time doing that stupid Jemai Jones, JD fucking Davis nonsense. If you can afford the lineup can afford one change, but all 3 craziness. No, that was on Aaron Boone.
The low key was Wells.
Yeah. Now
I
the
thought
clutch,
that walk he worked was really, it was a really good at bat.
the clutch award, there's no clutch award to give out.
No.
I'd give the anti-clutch award. The anti-clutch award I would give to Volpe, or because he came out in a ton of spots with runners in scoring position in those two games against the Mets, and completely flatlined Anthony Volpe. Despite hitting very well lately, he came up in big
Not
spots.
when we need it.
Absolutely melted down. A couple times the bases loaded, and maybe we wouldn't have gotten blown out had he came through. I think it was a 6-2 game. The bases was loaded, I believe, and he struck out, and that was game over there. So he's getting the anti-clutch award. So there's no clutch award this time. Anti-clutch. Rob, who's your anti-clutch?
Well, there was one option for a clutch, and if they didn't not do anything the following inning, is when Weaver struck out. I forgot who it was in the top of the ninth that one game or the eighth inning, and you're like, "Hey, fire us up, Weave," and then we didn't do anything. Anti-clutch, the whole fucking team. Outside of even you could put Judge in that category because he didn't come through when we needed him to. The entire team. That was as bad of a series you can have in terms of clutch moments. They don't have one in them. When was the last time we had a walk-off win? I think it was like 2 years ago. Or a year ago. They don't get walk-off wins, and it's really alarming because you're going to need those, especially in October when there's no extra inning rule. You're going to need that walk-off moment. We don't get them, so this entire team's the anti-clutch right now.
Agreed. Tats.
Yeah, I didn't even write anybody down for clutch because there really weren't no clutch moments. So I'm the anti-clutch. I'm actually, I'm going to put it on Verdugo. The dude, he's got to find. I understand he's making hard contact, and that looks nice on but your hard hit rate, whatever the stat that is, you got to start finding some grass. I'm sorry, I can't anymore.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for you to have that big hit where you're like, because you're seeing the at bats are starting to improve. I mean, some of them is just bad luck. I mean, I forget who it was. I think it was Taylor made a phenomenal catch in the outfield. That Rob Verdugo of an RBI double.
That's true. That was
and it's like if he doesn't, like Susan said, he goes, if she didn't have bad luck, you'd have no luck at all. That's Verdugo right now. So that's why he's being highlighted for the anti-clutch.
Okay. The pitching award, there's only one candidate for me. I think it was Luke Weaver. I think he deserved it. Although I thought Luis Gil pitched great, and if anything, I would have had Aaron. He was only on 91 pitches after 5 innings. I would have tried to get him into the sixth. I didn't agree with bringing in Topkin. I said it at the time, so it's not Monday morning quarterback. I didn't agree with taking him out after 5. I think he probably could have given us another inning. So that was another mistake by Boone, in my opinion. But I thought he pitched well and Luke Weaver pitched well, and that was it. So I'll still give it to Luke Weaver because he came through in that clutch spot and got us out of it. So, Rob?
I'm giving it to Heel. I liked what Weaver did for sure. So if there was a clutch award this time around, I would have given it to him. But I gotta give Heel credit because he could have let that game get away from him, and he didn't. That was that one inning that he had the bases lowered, like 1 out, and he only gave up a run. That was huge. I think Heel's been pitching his ass off lately after that really rough stretch he was on. It's good to see that he doesn't seem to be completely fizzled out. It just had a bump in the road, and he's bounced back from it. So I want to keep giving him credit because he's been our best pitcher, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I went with Heel, and he could have gone deeper into the game, but he did have a couple of innings where he was laboring, where he bent but didn't break, and you're starting to see the Heel we were seeing in the beginning of the year on the return, as Rob said, after that tough stretch. So I had Heel as my pitcher.
Good mixture of guys here. Yeah, Nosebleed says Holmes for not giving up any runs. picking up Bader. CT Cards agrees with me that it was Weaver. So there's a couple of decent opinions there. Let's get into Aaron Boone's rating out of 10. Flat 0. I don't think there'll be too much to argue there. Uncle Tats, do you agree? 0?
He gets nothing.
He is nothing. He's a big fat nothing. 0 out of 10 for Aaron Boone.
0 with a pink slip.
Absolutely. Very much 0 with a pink slip. Let's move on to the L. There's a lot of L's to give out. But which ones would you want to focus on? Let's start with Rob.
I'm giving it to Garrett Cole. He sucked. He flat out sucked. He cannot beat the Mets. I don't know what it is the Mets do to him, but Tyrone Taylor is kicking the shit out of him. Francisco Lindor is his worst enemy, along with Devers. Garrett Cole, hey, you're healthy. You say you're healthy. You got to pitch better. We need you, man. And I hate to give any shit to the Cy Young, but he's got to be better. And he was terrible.
Yeah, he killed us. Soto had the lead, gave us the lead.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And he gave it
right back with interest.
Yep.
Tats.
I want to change it to what Rob just said, but I'm going by what I wrote. My L goes to Cashman. When you have to put Jahmai Jones 1, and JD Davis 4, that's a roster issue. And because of that, our only strength right now was minimalized. So Cashman, you get the L.
Yeah, if your backup first baseman is JD Davis, I mean, there's something wrong with you. There is something very wrong with you. That's a good point. But there's a lot of L's on the field. I'm going to give it to DJ LeMahieu, DJ LaCucci, DJ LaGroundout, DJ LaFucking Assface, DJ LaFucking... Oh my! There's no end to the embarrassment, and he was an embarrassment this series. First of all, he let a ball go right through him. Right, he got swallowed up by a ball heading to him in third base. I believe that was in game 1. Rob, I think you correct me.
No, it was yesterday, wasn't it?
Was that
2 days? 2 days ago.
2 days ago, right? He let a ball swallow him up. And he continues to fail with runners in scoring position. And that was apparently his only skill set. And now he can't hit with runners in scoring position. DJ LeDudu murdered us in that whole series. He did nothing. Nothing game 1, nothing game 2. 0, absolute 0. He was a disaster. And it's finally... because I've been trying to defend him. I'm a big DJ fan. I got his jersey in my locker. I'm a big fan, and he has embarrassed me, and I hate to be embarrassed. So he is getting that award. He failed multiple times. Even if he came through 1 or 2 hits in that series, this whole series looks different. Mm-hmm. But he's a big failure, and he should be embarrassed with himself. And the Yankees need to cut him. His OPS is what? Is it below 500 still? He's a failure. He's an embarrassment.
One home run ain't gonna change that. He's a fucking bum. Get rid of him.
Get him gone. Cut him. We fucking forced A-Rod into early retirement, and A-Rod was 10 times more productive when we forcibly retired him than fucking DJ LeMahieu.
Maybe that's what we should do.
He sucks.
I would actually look, cut LeMahieu, bring A-Rod back, put him in third, let him get his 4 more home runs, and let him go back to retirement.
Might take him 4 years to get 4 home runs at this rate.
Yeah, LeMahieu's got to go. You know what I mean? I don't care about them. You're gonna have to pay him anyway.
They're paying Hicks. Why does everyone keep forgetting how much they're paying Aaron Hicks for the next few years? They keep saying, "Oh, you can't." Yeah, you can't you can't pay DJ LeMahieu not to play for you. Yes, you can, because you're doing it to Aaron Hicks. And Hicks was actually more productive last year when they cut him than DJ is right now. How about that? Fucking twist of fate that is.
Josh Donaldson was more productive.
Yes. You can absolutely pay DJ not to play for you.
We made A-Rod an advisor to the Yankees. And we still paid him when we forcibly retired him without any fucking ceremony. And he was far more productive than DJ LeMahieu in that season that we retired him. So don't fucking tell me that Brian Cashman doesn't have an agenda. He has an agenda. He's protecting DJ LeMahieu at all costs because he extended him. Why is Caleb Ferguson still here? Because Brian Cashman brought him in and he's protecting him. Why did Josh Donaldson and Aaron Hicks stay forever? Because Brian Cashman brought them in and tried and protecting them. Brian Cashman has an agenda. And one of them is DJ LeMahieu. And if there's any accountability in this organization, he needs to be gone. Stop it. This is bullshit.
There's one more award, Donald, and I think it's the best one.
The Aaron Hicks Award. The Aaron Hicks Award. For the worst of the worst of the worst. And this one goes to another Aaron. Aaron fucking Boone. He's getting the Aaron Hicks Award. I am pissed at Brian Cashman for this roster, but it doesn't mean that Aaron Boone should be skating by here. And it's too simple a narrative. It's too simple a narrative to say, oh, well, it's the GM, it's not the manager. You cannot tell me that a manager doesn't have an impact. I just saw his bench coach outmanage him. Mendoza is outmanaging him. Mendoza has changed the locker room over there in Queens. They're playing hard, and they are playing well, and they're getting things done. They come through in clutch spots, and they're looking really good, and they play decent baseball. Aaron Boone was supposedly his superior. Bull fucking shit. Bull shit. Aaron Boone can't unlock a door. He fucked the lineup in game 1. That's why we lost. In game 2, he was crediting them with looking interested in the dugout when down 12-3. That is my manager. Give me a break.
There's a lot of examples of former Boone coaches that have gone on. Like, look at Espada in Houston. That team could have just easily said, fuck it. There's too many injuries. We have every excuse in the book.
Yep.
They're first place again. Or they were, at least. They're in first place, yeah, by a full game. I mean, the manager certainly catches a lot of blame for good reason. There's some things you shouldn't blame for it, but a lot of things you should.
Rajil, that's frightening. A-Rod's last full season, he hit 250 and his OPS was 842. How much would we kill for that right now? For an 800 OPS. Unbelievable. But Brian Cashman got rid of him ASAP. So, but protected Aaron Hicks and protects Josh Donaldson, protects DJ LeMahieu. There's a different narrative. There is. Now, Brian Cashman could get this award, but I'm still focusing very much on Aaron Boone. Aaron Boone fucked us this series. He embarrassed us. The Yankees got embarrassed, and honestly, he's lucky he's got a job. He doesn't deserve one. He should have been fired for that. Rob.
It's right there in front of us.
Oh.
It's right there in front of us. It's right there in front of us. It's right there in front of us. You know what else is in front of me? J.D. Davis. Jahmai Jones. In two of the most important spots in your lineup. We have two of the best players in the history of the sport at this rate. With the way they're going. We're going to protect them with a DFA'd Milwaukee Brewers infielder and a guy that both the San Francisco Giants and Oakland Athletics gave up on. Who do you think is getting this award for this series? If it's not Aaron Boone, then who is it? He's bringing back. He's recycling his old quotes. There's a compilation of all the times he said it over the last 2 years, and it's like a minute long of how many times he said it's right there in front of us. If it's right there in front of you, go get it. Stop saying it. Go get it.
Yeah.
It's time for action. It's time for action. I'm running for president. Go and do it, Aaron Boone. You want people to stop clowning you? You want people to stop dog shitting on your name and saying all these things about you? Go prove that you're the guy. Go shut us all up. I would want nothing more than for Aaron Boone to shut me the hell up about you, than to shut Donald up about you, than to shut Tats up about you, than to shut Pete up about you and everybody else that's been clowning on you because you deserve it right now. But you want to shut us all up? Go lead this team the way you think you can, the way you say you can, the way the players say you can. Go do it, because right now you ain't doing it, and you saying it's right there in front of us is just going to make us hate you even more, because you're bringing back the old quotes that we hated you for 2 years ago and a year ago. What's next? What are you going to be turning next? You going to turn the corner? You going to round the corner? What is it? We're a few blocks away? Come on, man. Just go be a damn manager. But you were absolutely terrible this series, between recycling your old quotes, your lineup decisions, praising the other pitcher for keeping J.D. Davis off balance. It's J.D. Davis. Get over yourself. You're not taking his job, Dad, because you'd be worse. And this team needs a freaking manager. So go be a manager. Go shut me up. But Aaron Hicks Award goes to Aaron Baboon, the moron. Jesus Christ, man. Yeah, he's using football quotes the other day. God damn it. Aaron Boone, be better.
Tats?
I'm going with Boone, and I cannot top. I'm not going to top that rant, so that's how we're going to close it. But no, it's his press conferences are fucking. It's embarrassing. It really is. Shut his mic off. Shut it off. Don't even let him talk anymore. I had to turn my GPS volume off because if I got to hear anything about a corner, I'm going to lose my fucking mind.
If Aaron Boone was your GPS voice, can you imagine that? You'd miss your turn every time because he would keep bumbling on his words. You missed you make a U-turn. It's right in front of you.
Oh God, he's made so many turns. It's like NASCAR because all he's doing is making turns. He's supposed to be playing baseball. I can't with this guy anymore. Like I said, you want to keep saying how you're not a puppet, and everybody wants to keep saying, he's the man. Then friggin' act like it. If this is the best you can do. We praised you the whole first half of the year. We were saying in the beginning of the season how we've seen a big difference in the club overall. They were winning. We were winning every series. And now this, and you don't have the managerial skills to dig your team out of a hole, but it's all right in front of you. How far in front of you are you looking? How about looking at yourself and how terrible you've been?
He's using the Bumble. What is it? Is it called the something telescope that NASA uses? That's what he's using to see how far. There it is. He's using that. I call it the Bumble. He's using that to see what's in front of him.
No, because you're thinking of bubbling bone and this stupid freaking word salads that make no goddamn sense. But
on that note, Tats, close us out.
We appreciate you, Ross. And we appreciate everybody that's been in the chat with us. As always, I mean, you guys have been riding with us for a while. And much love for you guys. Hope you guys, I don't even know what to say about the freaking weekend series. But we will be back on Monday, 10 a.m. to break that down. And maybe some trade moves will start coming through, hopefully for us for the better. But also don't forget to tune in Sunday, 11 a.m. for the Upper Deck with Lynn and Sierra. So as we will say, Hit that like button, hit that sub button, share this out with your friends, your family, the strangers on the corner. This has been the Pinstripe Chronicles, where fans become family, where those pinstripes are pride and play hard.